Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Tuesday morning to you all. I hope you guys are doing well out there this morning and having a wonderful start to your day. And I hope everyone's been having a great week out there so far. We're here to speak on the latest as far as severe weather making a return for this weekend. Now, there will be areas of the country that could experience some strong to severe storms between now and the weekend, but the weekend time frame does look like the big area of time to watch. So we'll speak on that. If there's any day right now that I'm the most concerned about, is certainly Sunday. But we'll speak on Saturday, even Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and now Monday, which the Storm Prediction Center is now highlighting as a day to watch. So we'll speak on everything. We'll talk about the latest outlook information from the Storm Prediction Center first, and then we'll speak on the storm system itself that could bring these rounds of strong to severe storms throughout the weekend into early next week. And then we'll talk about the ingredients that are coming together to create an environment that does support these strong to severe storms. So that'll be kind of a portion of the video we'll spend a good bit of time on, and definitely a part of the video where you guys, especially the folks that have this storm anxiety, which I understand a lot of people do, can really understand what brings all this together. And just from doing what I've been doing over the last few years here on YouTube, it does seem like the common theme is when people actually understand what brings them fear, it helps the anxiety that they feel because of that fear a little bit more. Now, I can't speak for everybody, of course, but I have seen that be a common thing people say in the comments. So we'll speak on all that, and then we'll cover today's weather like we always do towards the tail end of these morning videos. If you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. If anybody has anything that I can pray about or pray over, please put it in the comments below, and I will get you guys a Bible devotion at the very end of this video for you folks that are interested in that. So let's get rocking and rolling. So this is the latest outlook for Sunday. Now, if you tuned in to any YouTube video or my YouTube video from yesterday morning, you know that you're probably thinking, well, why are you skipping Saturday? Well, they actually dropped the outlook for Saturday. So I think that, hey, they're saying that chances have decreased as of now, at least past day 3 for strong to severe storms. Now, I think we're absolutely going to get a risk of strong to severe storms Friday and definitely Saturday. But I think Sunday is certainly the big day, and now Monday is highlighted. But let's speak a little bit on Sunday, so make sure I don't get my days mixed up here. So this is Sunday's outlook. It's still pretty large, not quite as large as yesterday, and I was pretty confident it was going to shrink at least a little bit. It was very large, but still huge as we're waking up this morning. So a slight risk, a level 2 out of 5, which past day 3, this means there's a 15% risk of any severe weather in this yellow area. This includes St. Louis, Springfield, Missouri. It includes Effingham, down to Carbondale, all the way up to Bloomington, Illinois. Not quite up to Peoria, but that doesn't mean you can't get severe weather up there. Indianapolis, you're included. Columbus, down to Cincinnati, Louisville, Evansville. I think I already said that. Lexington, Bowling Green, all of eastern Kentucky, all the way back over to Charleston, West Virginia, all the way down to Nashville, includes just about the entire state of Tennessee except far northeast Tennessee, but that doesn't mean you're not going to get any severe weather Sunday into Sunday night. Down to Chattanooga, Dalton, almost down to Atlanta, but not quite. Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, Montgomery, Memphis, both Jackson, but Jackson, Mississippi, Jackson, Tennessee. There's probably a Jackson in just about every single state across the South, down to Shreveport, Monroe, Little Rock, all the way to the Arklatex region, Fayetteville, including in this Jonesboro, Boot Hill, Missouri. So pretty large area. It doesn't quite go all the way down to the Gulf coastline anymore. It doesn't quite get all the way up to the Great Lakes anymore, but still very large. And once again, this just means there's a 15% risk of any severe weather. They do not start to section off those categories as far as the tornado outlook, damage and wind outlook, and the hail outlook until we get inside day 3. So we still got a few more days before that. But this is new. This is for Monday of next week. So 6 days from now, we're Tuesday. So next Monday, they have issued a 15% risk of any severe weather for pretty much all of the Carolinas except far western North Carolina, a good chunk of Georgia, a section of Alabama, and a section of northern Florida, all the way up into southern and central sections of Virginia. This includes Richmond, Roanoke, down to Virginia Beach, Norfolk, Greensboro, Raleigh, down to Fayetteville, Charlotte, Asheville included in this, Hickory, Statesville, Salisbury, Columbia, Florence, Myrtle Beach, Wilmington, all the Outer Banks, down to Charleston. I think I already said that. I'm repeating stuff here. Augusta, Greenville, Spartanburg area, Atlanta, Savannah, all of central Georgia, all the way down to Jacksonville, Florida, and all the way back over to Montgomery, Alabama. 15% risk of any severe weather. Again, this is for Monday of next week. So already honking the horn at this. And and there is a chance, guys, that I know I didn't show Friday. They don't have an outlook for Friday. There's a chance that they kind of put another yellow area over Friday. So we'll certainly watch for that. And I'm not going to guarantee it, but I wouldn't be surprised if we at least get a slight risk for Friday. But I'm sorry, for Saturday. For Saturday, I know they dropped the outlook for Saturday, but we could very well get a risk of severe weather for Friday and Saturday. So we'll kind of explain why I keep mentioning Friday here in a second. But these are the two outlooks that we have. The 2 days that they're the most confident in is Sunday and Monday upcoming. So let's talk about the storm system that could get this going. So we're going to start this off. It says 21Z Friday. So think of this as Friday afternoon, this coming Friday, March the 28th. So there is a low pressure right here. I'm going to try drawing this. So you're going to see multiple L's come up on your screen. Low pressure right into here, but you're going to see kind of another one come up in this area here in the next day or two as I keep this going. But we're not even close to short range model, guys, like these mesoscale models, like, the HRRR model, the NAM. All we can look at is these global models. So you're just going to see areas of blue, which is snow, pink, wintry mix, purple, and then areas of green and reds and orange and yellows. Those are, just think of these as rain or either showers and storms, especially when you see the splotches of yellow, orange, and red. But we keep going here. We get into Saturday. Now, there's not a whole lot of flow rumbling over the country yet, but I can tell you, this is getting into late Friday night. This could very well be some strong to severe thunderstorms up here in the Midwest. Could be a boundary setting up and enough cold air aloft to create favorable, what we call lapse rates, which will increase CAPE values up here. So we could get some strong to severe thunderstorms Friday. That's why I kept mentioning it a couple minutes ago when showing you guys the outlook. But as of right now, nothing really too concerning to worry about here for Friday. But we started getting into Saturday. This was the day where they did have an outlook issued for sort of right here in this region. Yesterday, no longer do, but it does show a big surge of moisture coming out the western Gulf here, affecting Louisiana, Arkansas, surrounding states. This could be a lot of shower and storm activity, and it shows that 990 low. You see that low pressure right here over Kansas, kind of moving across the country, and we start to get into about Saturday afternoon. There's probably still some sort of lower pressure here, some sort of surface low. It just weakens. So you see this big blob right here of green and other colors. That could very well be showers and storms. And it could be strong to severe storms. We just got to watch to see how any kind of surface features develop maybe somewhere into here as this jet comes across the middle of the country. Now we keep this going, and yes, there could be some winter weather up into the upper Midwest portion of the country, and we'll speak more on that when we know more. Models are everywhere on that, but it does show heavy snow falling up here in areas of the upper Midwest. We started getting to, say, Saturday night. We see those storms over the deep south, the splotches of green, yellow, orange, etc. That could be some sort of cluster of storms. But then something that is starting to show up more and more, which I'm concerned about, I'm not going to lie. We're getting into Sunday morning, March the 30th. You see this low right here? It's the same thing started showing up for not this past Saturday, but the Saturday before that. It's high risk, if y'all remember. I'm sure most people do across the deep south. We started seeing a surface low show up around this area that ejected across this region. This really brought all the ingredients for severe weather in this area. Well, I'm kind of watching, and I'm not saying there's going to be a high risk for Sunday. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm starting to see consistency with models on some sort of low developing here and then kind of scooting across this way or somewhere north and south of that arrow. So we start to get into Sunday morning, and here it comes. This is like Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening. And I know all you're seeing, like I said, I keep saying this, is splotches of red, yellow, green, orange, but this could very well be severe thunderstorms producing maybe all hazards. Most likely there will be a risk of all hazards. So 995 low scooting across Missouri. That will get the job done for severe weather. This will be pulling up a lot of right moist air. It'll be bringing its own favorable wind field with it. And this will most likely bring some sort of corridor, very strong to severe storms across this entire region. And across this entire area, I know you're not seeing really anything in a lot of the arrow, you're not seeing a lot of colors in this circle, this pink circle I just drew, but there very well could be strong to severe storms. We don't know if this surface low is going to be right here. I mean, it could be right here. It could be right here. This is just one run off the European model. Okay. But you keep going here, and that low ejects across Michigan, gets into southern Ontario, and then we get into Monday, and we could very well get kind of some sort of surface boundary, surface low. Surface like boundary, like a cold front draping across this region. Out ahead of it, you'll have a right moist air mass, and we could have strong to severe thunderstorms sort of in this region right here as this low sort of heads on off, but a cold front kind of sweeps in behind it. But we'll watch Monday. I'm really got my eyes on Sunday. Well, we're not going to skip talking about Monday, of course, but and the GFS showing something similar. We'll kind of skip right to Sunday here, but here comes the low moving across, and once again, it shows something very similar to the Euro, like a surface low over Missouri. This is going to bring a lot of weather, I think, right here through this region. Okay, and I mean the GFS wants to show snow on the colder, I won't say cold, but the colder side of the low pressure, which is the back side. So 996 low cutting across St. Louis this time of the year. Yeah, you're definitely going to get severe weather on the east, southeast side of this low for sure. So you keep this going, and it wants to go more zonal, doesn't eject dramatically. It doesn't gain latitude as much as, say, the Euro. So we're starting to get into, say, Monday. And this area of green you see down here could very well be strong to severe storms as we're getting into Monday in those highlighted areas. So, that's the actual storm system. You talk about the ingredients. Two things we look at this range is the overlapping of thermodynamics and kinematics. If you're like, Mitch, dude, just cut it to me straight. Well, thermodynamics is how humid it is outside. So you walk outside, it's very humid. You're like, man, it is miserably hot and humid outside. There's some juice in the atmosphere, right? You probably have higher dew points. So dew points in the 60s and 70s, you're definitely going to feel that. So the higher your dew point, the better those thermodynamics are. Now, other thermodynamics, like how high is your surface temperatures, like how warm is it outside. There's lapse rates, which how fast does it cool as you gain as you gain elevation in the atmosphere. That creates better CAPE values, which leads us into the next thermodynamic, your storm fuel. CAPE values, how high is your CAPE, your energy in the atmosphere. And then you got kinematics, and that's much more simple. So that's what kind of flow do you have in the atmosphere? Do you have a favorable wind pattern in different levels of the atmosphere? So do you have that lifting mechanism to get those storms going? And do you have any sort of turning with height? So is the wind shifting as you get further up in the atmosphere? That could put a spin in the atmosphere. We call that directional shear. So this is Friday evening. Already have dew points, which I know dew points in the 50s are still pretty dry, but that's pretty moist up here in the Midwest this time of the year. So this is Friday evening. We already have a pool of very deep Gulf moisture down here. Dew points in the 60s. That will definitely get the job done for severe weather this time of the year, really any time of the year. But we get into Saturday midday. Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening, dew points are creeping up into the 60s, all the way up into southern Missouri. Dew points widespread in the 50s, upper 50s across the Midwest, the Ohio Valley. But you really got this corridor of deep moisture right here in this region, right where, they had that 15% risk area yesterday for Saturday. But then you get into Sunday, which has always been a day that I've been the most concerned about. This is early Sunday afternoon, and you see this area right into here. That is some pretty deep moisture surging pretty far north. Dew points into the 60s, getting all the way up the Ohio Valley into areas of the southern Midwest, certainly all the way up through Kentucky, Tennessee, Boot Hill, Missouri, southern Indiana, southern Illinois, and deep moisture down here. But do you have good lift down here? And we'll talk about that here in a second. But dew points, well, it's going to be a humid day Sunday across the South for sure. You're definitely going to be able to feel that humidity for the last few days of March. And then we start to get into, say, Monday morning, then Monday afternoon, and the cold front begins to drape across areas of the country. So cold front kind of going like this. Of course, on the cooler, dry side of the cold front, we have lower dew points and more stable air. But on the warm, moist side, you get this moist air. So where's your best flow over this very moist air going to be? But dew points certainly support thermodynamics. As far as dew points, certainly support severe weather. Dew points in the 50s across the South. 60s, maybe even some 70s. So next thing you look at is also another thermodynamic is Cape values. And I do want to add, this is the Euro Ensemble. So this is not just one freak, operational run. This is blended model guidance, which is, a very reasonable thing to look at this range. But I do want to mention Friday. You see this area of Cape values over 1,000 joules per kilogram up here in areas of the Midwest. Well, that's because you got a low kind of flying just to the north of this corridor of storm fuel. And with cold air nearby, because it's so far north and it's still March, you have better lapse rates, which basically a dramatic change in the temperatures when you gain, when you get further up in the atmosphere, actually creates this fuel in the atmosphere and makes the atmosphere unstable is what I'm trying to say. So you do have Cape values reaching over 1,000 joules per kilogram on the Euro Ensemble. So we could actually have some elevated strong to severe storms up here in the Midwest. And I've just been wanting to kind of throw that in there for my folks up there that live further north that maybe don't see as much severe weather this time of the year in late March. But, we get into Saturday. This is when we have a surge of higher Cape values, over 3,000 joules per kilogram deep down in Texas, over 2,000 even further north in northern Texas. And we got this area of 1,500 joules per kilogram in Cape all the way up here through the Arklatex, and even some fuel all the way up here into like Kansas City. But you're probably thinking, well, why don't they have a 15% risk area in like southern areas of Texas? Well, that's because this is just one ingredient. You don't have any really lift down here to really get any storms going. Doesn't mean that you can't get them. They'll be very slow movers if you do. But this time of the year, even down here, most of your flow is to the north. So you don't have a lot of lift to get these storms. You need some sort of surface low down here, some sort of short wave to provide kind of a oomph, if you will, of flow in the upper levels of the atmosphere to get these storms going. If you don't, then it's just hot and humid, basically. So now the concerning thing is obviously for Sunday. And listen, and I'm going to show you the kinematics here in a second. You got over 1,000 joules per kilogram of Cape extending all the way into Kentucky. And I would probably say it's going to extend a little bit further north. Typically, global models underdo this, but over 2,000 joules per kilogram of Cape down here in the western deep south. Guys, this is definitely enough. Already the Euro Ensemble is showing this much storm fuel in the atmosphere this far out. So I honestly think we could, as we're getting into tomorrow, or waking up tomorrow morning, I wouldn't be surprised if they put a 30% risk area in like that orange color that we saw when we were breaking down the severe weather thread a couple weekends back. If model guidance continues to come together on what we're seeing here, I wouldn't be surprised. Like I said, they put a 30% risk area kind of somewhere into here. Now you might say, well, why don't they put it down here? Better storm fuel. I'll talk to you about why actually here in a second. But we start to get into Monday morning, and most of your storm fuel gets bogged down. It's because that cold front's coming in and stabilizing the atmosphere. But you got a lot of storm energy hanging out along the Gulf coastline and just north, and definitely some storm fuel over 500 to 1,000 joules per kilogram in Cape in the southeast. But one thing that I'm watching, and this is just the 500 millibar flow. So this is flow, how fast your winds are going as far as knots in this case, about 18,000 feet up in the air. I will start to look at that low-level jet when we can really pin down what we think that surface low is going to be. So we start to get into Saturday morning, and then we get into Saturday afternoon. Okay, I really think the reason they've dropped the 15% risk area is because I'm sure they're questioning whether thunderstorms are actually going to form in these areas right into here. Because most of your flow is right into here. You see the purplish, reddish areas? That's where your favorable lifting mechanism, your wind energy is, at least in the upper levels of the atmosphere. You don't really have any of it right in this area I just checked and circled off. Now, I wouldn't be surprised we do get some thunderstorms Saturday. I mean, we might get a strong to severe thunderstorm risk here in Texas as we're getting into Saturday afternoon. That could be something that's there. Remember, I was showing you all that fuel down here in South Texas? We got some flow moving in, sort of the beginning region of the jet starting to move in. That could get some storms going. We just got to watch. But we start to get into Sunday, and this is my big concern. Okay, well, let's just go on and take it to the prime heating of the day. Sunday afternoon. I mean, you got 60, 75 knots of upper level flow riding over a pretty moist air mass. So you just look at this entire region. Westerly flow moving right over this area over a pretty moist air mass. So I'll stop it there, right? Good bit of wind flow, upper levels of the atmosphere, lifting mechanism, wind energy for tornadoes, damaging winds. And then we back it up and we look at same time frame right in here. Well, this is actually a few hours off. But look at this very moist air under that wind flow right here. That's what I like to say, overlapping of ingredients for severe weather. And that's why I think if they do put any kind of 30% risk area past day 3, it's probably going to be somewhere in here, I would say. Let's do a little 3-0. See if Mitch can nail it here. So if they're going to put in any kind of 30% risk area, I bet you it's right in there. If they do, either way, if models continue to show this, then I really think that might be the best area for severe weather. Now, you say, well, why is the flow so enhanced in this region? Well, the jet's kind of moving over this region, but remember, some sort of surface low feature is going to be probably scooting across this region. This is going to enhance the flow aloft in the atmosphere, enhance kinematics, wind energy. So now we continue to make our way into Monday. Pivotal weather's doing pretty good this morning. Proud of it. There's a lot of flow going over this area. In the deep south, I mean, in the southeast. So you got a lot, I mean, a steady 60, 70, 80 knots of upper level flow riding over this region. Is there going to be like any impulse of energy, any kind of short wave to kind of enhance that low level flow? We still got to figure that one out, guys. But listen, I'm telling you, I think Sunday's going to be a big day, but the day before, day after could be big days too. So as far as today's weather, we got this area of moisture, sort of a northwest to southeast flow going on across the Midwest down to the Appalachian Mountains. So this is all rain skirting across the Midwest and starting to greet you guys in the Central Apps. We got a steady flow of northerly flow up here of snow in the eastern UP, and we got an upper low kind of right here in this region. It's going to pivot some snow showers across the interior northeast region. So there's just enough cold air in place. But we got a tall ridge spiking across areas of the western U.S., allowing for most of your flow to kind of move to the north. But other than that, no high impact weather ongoing right now. And you can see it off the hazards map. I mean, there's hardly nothing out there. The most you see out there is dense fog advisories across the south and those Gray County regions and parishes and stuff like that in Louisiana. But Storm Prediction Center, there is a couple areas to watch for strong to severe storms. One is southern Oklahoma and northern Texas. We got a marginal risk from Waco, Dallas up to the Red River and just north of it. And we got a risk of strong to severe storms for southeast Florida down to Miami up to Fort Lauderdale. So we'll talk a little bit about those areas. Outside of that, there's no excessive rainfall outlook up. But the southeast today, we'll continue to watch these showers. We could get a little bit of snow activity in the higher elevations of West Virginia. Some of these showers will begin to greet you guys in Virginia. We could actually get a thunderstorm or two in North Carolina today as a little shortwave impulse of energy flies down. And we'll greet you guys this evening with some rain across eastern North Carolina, southeast Virginia, the Delmarva. We'll get some rain this evening. So this will wash some pollen away. I don't think it'll be anything bad at all. But you notice maybe a round of snow in the higher elevations of West Virginia later tonight. But I'm going to section off this area right here in Florida. Just be aware of some strong to severe storms. Like this is around 4 o'clock this afternoon. We got a big, strong potentially severe storm popping up right across Miami. So maybe the Bahamas get some storms too. But definitely, if you live down here, say hey. You could get some strong to severe storms. I don't think they're going to make it up here to Dallas. Dallas. Where did that come from? I haven't done that in a while, guys. I'm sure some of y'all are laughing. I get a few bloopers. This is all raw, unedited. I don't edit any of this, so sometimes I like to mix some things up. Call Tampa, Dallas, stuff like that. But Tampa, I don't expect any storms up here. But some of these storms could kind of ride an outflow right north, up the eastern shoreline of Florida, and might creep up to the Space Coast, and then they'll kind of die off this evening. So don't be surprised, this area right here, Florida, if you get a strong to severe storm. Up here in the Northeast, just some wraparound flow around this upper low. So we're going to get some snow showers up here in the Adirondacks, Green and White Mountains, all the way into western Maine. Could add up, dusting to maybe an inch or so of snow. Southern Ontario also will get these, and we'll wake up to it again tomorrow morning. So we're waking up to some snow showers, even in Buffalo, Rochester, the Finger Lakes, Tuck Plateau. And in fact, some of these could be kind of squall in nature, burst, if you will. And we could actually have a more impact day of these if you say it's an impact day for tomorrow. So the South Central U.S., I do just want to watch out for an area of showers and storms that could develop. And the HRRR model might not be picking up on it well. In fact, it doesn't really show these storms really getting going until after midnight tonight across the Red River, north and south of it. But they very well could get going earlier than that. But I don't think this will be a big deal. But if they do get going, watch out for some large hail. It's very possible. Up here in the north central U.S., we could have some snow in the eastern UP that continues to fall. We will, not could. And then we'll get some of these kind of snow squalls that'll kind of move through the northern lower Michigan area. Some showers could go through the Midwest today. And that's about it. Not a whole lot going on. And same pattern remains out west, but it'll just be quieter in general. There's really nothing to talk about. It's a tall ridge. It's spiking all the way up into western Canada. The temperatures today, there will be a boundary in place. Very nice across the southeast, deep south. South central U.S. will be downright warm. Cooler across the northeast, 30s and 40s. The Ohio Valley, 40s and 50s. And very warm day across Florida. Not surprised you have a risk of strong and severe storms today. But I will say there is a lot of warm air across the west. Nice day. You can tell there's a ridge over this place, over the entire western U.S. as temperatures are warming up pretty dramatically, especially for the valley regions. So that's all I got, guys. I'm going to flip it to this just so I have a timestamp to go back to. So we always look at this. So let's pause this. Do a little devotion for you guys this morning. See what our time is. So we're good. Little girl made me a little bookmark, a little Easter egg. But anyways, this morning we're in Proverbs. So Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5 and 6. Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5 and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not rely on your own understanding. In all your ways know him, and he will make your path straight. So I think it hits on just having faith in God, that in your valleys in life, you got to trust in him. And I fight that every single day, guys. I'm a normal human being, just like all of you guys. I fight anxiety daily. I fought it this morning. That's why I wake up really early, because I fight that battle early on. So by the time the sun comes up, I'm ready to go. But and I do want to throw that out there. If you are really trying to get your life together, waking up early is a great first step. I'm telling you guys. But anyways, going back to scripture here, just keep the faith, guys. When things are just not going your way, lean on God. I know that sometimes you don't just get that immediate gratification. Things don't immediately, just come together in a flash. But a lot of times when we're in our lowest valley, your blessing is the closest. And trust me, I'm an example of that. I'm a testimony of that. But a lot of times people cannot get through that valley. They cannot trust in God enough, have faith. And I really think that if you can just keep on, we've heard this many times, every one of us, if you just hang on just a little bit longer, you never know how real close you are to that breakthrough. So just lean on him, ride out that valley. It's tough. Some people's valleys are a lot lower than others. We know that. Some people are going through much or just some terrible things, but just ride it out. The blessing is right around the corner. And I do think sometimes, a lot of times, God allows things to happen to us to test our faith. And I think it should be like that. I'm a big believer that everything connects. He does things for a reason. And like I said, I see that weekly, daily in my life, yearly. I can provide so many examples about it. I'd go on for hours talking to you guys, but just ride out that valley. Ride out that valley. Keep the faith in him. Trust in him, and he's going to deliver you through. But, if you just, if you just say, hey, I cannot take it anymore and give up, then, you just never know. You just never know, right? So keep the faith. Keep that strong, guys. Doesn't matter what you're going through. And I know some of y'all are going through some pretty terrible stuff. But if you need people to talk to, we're here for you. Put it in the comments below, guys. I'm telling you, put your prayer request. If it's unspoken, put it there. People are praying over it. And God is good, and he's going to take care of us. We just got to keep the faith, and we just got to ride out that valley, guys. So God bless all y'all. Have a wonderful day, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow morning.